me to say something before I actually do my presentation. It's something that I've shared many times before, and it's the fact that, okay, my husband is a mechanic, a very, very skilled, old school mechanic. And say he's driving down the road, there's somebody broke down on the side of the road. He would stop, look at their vehicle, say, yep, you're broke down. Get back in this vehicle and drive away. What did he just do? He did a disservice to that person. We are not here just to diagnose illnesses, conditions. We are here to treat them. We need to get it out of our heads that we're selling. Yes, our products cost money, but we are treating their illness. We're not selling them. We're not used car salesmen. We are treating their condition. Okay, and that leads me into what I was actually going to talk about. Okay. Proper terminology and frame anatomy. Count that for me, please. I got too much stuff in my hand. I was planning on having a clicker. Sorry. It's all right. It's all right. Okay. Why are we talking about this, and why is it important? That can all be boiled down to two words. That slide. Consumer confidence. If we were to go to a heart doctor and he come in and took his stethoscope, put it on your head, would you have much confidence in that doctor? Or if he didn't even know what a stethoscope was, we would not have confidence in that doctor. We've all noticed the shift in culture and in our mostly American society, how we're going from the old school days of where doctors were usually very boisterous men and come in and told you what you had and you're going to take this, and you did what he said no matter what. We're moving now into more of a co-care attitude, or self-care even. And unfortunately, it's becoming more and more and more popular for people to self-diagnose and self-treat. Some of that is okay. Minor sniffles, colds, using neti pot, that's fine. But you don't need to ignore the chest pain and look it up on WebMD and it's just congestion and tomorrow you die of a heart attack. So back in the good old days, you know, it was, we would trust our doctor, we would go to our doctor, we would do exactly what he said. But unfortunately, trust in the medical field in itself is dying rapidly. I pulled an article, and this one was written by Dr. Drew Kolar. It was published in the New York Times on January 23rd, 2008. He said in 1966, more than 75% of Americans had great confidence in medical leaders, compared to 2018, where only 34% survey did. Compared with people in other developed countries, Americans are considerably less likely to trust doctors, and only 25% express confidence in the healthcare system as a whole. Why does this matter to us? It's a bunch of numbers, statistics, people taking quizzes. It matters to us because in a 1999 study, 1999, that's 10 years ago. 20 years ago, sorry. Yeah, it's a year after I got married. By David Tom and his colleagues, 62% of patients in the highest quartile of trust reported that they always took prescribed medications, contrasted with just 14% in 1999. Wait, hang on. The study said that 62% of patients in the highest quartile of trust, so that percentage, 62, that said that they do trust, they took their prescribed medications. But the lowest quartile of those surveyed, only 14% took their prescribed medication. The more trust they had in their doctor, if they said that they actually trusted their doctor, they took their medications. Whereas if they didn't trust their doctor, they didn't take medications. And it's the same with us. You know, if they trust what we're saying, they trust what we're doing, they are going to be compliant. Contact lenses, dry eye stuff, their drops, they're going to be compliant if they trust us. Another way that affects our business, it's also a strong predictor of whether patients are going to stay. If a patient doesn't trust where they're at, you know, maybe a lot of us won't change because we don't like change. But if we already have that distrust and then something happens, okay, they're going to change. So one way we can build that patient trust or consumer confidence is by using proper terminology. Imagine as a technician, now I understand, you know, there are new technicians and you don't know all the tools and techniques and things. But that's why it's important for us to learn and to always be learning. You know, if we took a patient back there and we don't know what we're doing, we don't know the names of different things that we're doing, we're going to poke this thing in your eye. How much confidence is that going to give that patient? They're not going to have the confidence in us. And so we end up losing patients, which means we lose money, which means we lose pay. So always try to do your best to learn the proper terminology, proper things to say. It promotes professionalism. You know, people don't want to come to a place where people don't look professional, act professional, speak professionally. And that's another thing that, you know, Dr. Bodendorfer always stresses with us about we're not supposed to say we're doing good, even though everyone in Live Oak says that. It just sets you apart a little bit, it sets you above a little bit when we do use proper grammar, proper English. Even though I say y'all, I'm gonna say y'all. I'm not changing that. It's y'all.
It's on the me for saying you all.
Oh, yeah. Because it's fun. Okay, if you don't know, ask. If you don't know the proper terms, proper, you know, you don't have to name all of our equipment to our patient, give them the make and serial number. You don't have to tell them the pharmaceutical compound of the drops you're using. But just present yourself in a professional way. Speaking of professional term. Next, we'll go ahead and move into frame anatomy. It'd been nice to have this big on the screen, but if you turn to that last page, it has that picture of the glasses. 3 basic types of frames are metal, not wire. We don't have wire frames. They're metal frames. Plastic frames and rimless or drill mount. Either one of those terms is fine. And then if you look at that picture right down there, you can see all of the different parts of the frame, the anatomy of the frame. Try to study that and learn those parts. And this is not just for optical people. Optical needs to learn, you know, what's in these rooms, what it does, why it does what it does. Because we're all part of that one patient's care. We're all part of getting from that diagnosis to the treatment. So we all need to know what each of these parts are, especially with optical with a clinic. Sometimes some things can click. If we know what an acclinator is, if we know how the refraction works, sometimes something that is done in there may click for something in there. And so it all flows together, all works together for treatment of that patient. And wanted to go over a couple of misconceptions with y'all just about, you know, optical and glasses. There is no well, I shouldn't say this. There is a such thing as a no-line bifocal, but it's a blended bifocal. Progressive lenses and no-line bifocal are not the same thing. Progressive lenses are not trifocals with no lines. Sometimes you'll hear us, you know, speak to a patient and we'll say, you mean a no-line progressive? Because they have been told improper terminology and they relate it to, it's a no-line bifocal. No, it's not. It's no lines, but it's a progressive. This is funny when we hear, especially with moms with kids. Okay, since he's been wearing those glasses, his eyes have gotten lazy. They depend on those glasses. They've ruined his eyes. They've messed up his eyes. So now, because he has to have the glasses now. That's not how this works. That's not how any of this works. You know, when a patient says that, That's our opportunity to kind of educate the patients a little bit. Explain, and we don't have to use super technical terms as long as we're using professional terms, proper terms. Just explain how refractions work, explain how the eyes work, explain how the lenses work in the eye. Just take that little bit of extra time to educate that patient. And in doing that, you're going to build that confidence. They are going to say, hey, they really know what they're talking about. And they're going to stay here. They're going to take their medication. They're going to use the glasses. Another one that drives me nuts is hyperopes. We all know that. I should be able to see perfect when I put my glasses on. I put these glasses on, I can't see anything, and they throw them across the table to us. Yes. Especially when y'all bring them back for RX checks. Try to explain to them, because we try to explain the optical, but a lot of times they trust y'all more than they do us as far as their eyes go. Explain to them again, that's not how your type of eyes work. You have to give it time. Your brain has to tell your eyes to relax that muscle so it can unflex that lens. You gotta give it time. Hyperopic patients, oh my dear Lord, they're just crazy. Digital eye strain, that's something that we're starting to see a real surgence of people who are on devices. You take them back there and you refract them, they refract 20/20. But it's the fact that their lens is contracted. Is that proper? Contracted? Huh?
They're converging.
Yeah. Their lens gets tired. Their eyes get tired. So it could be, we've got products in optical that help with that. They may refract 20/20, but they may need that little bit of bump just to help them see the computer so that their eyes can relax. Not much of a change in RX. This is a dead horse that we have beat and beat and beat and beat until it's ground beef. But, especially in hyperopes, if you have a patient that has changed a quarter of a doctor, you don't have much of a change, you don't need to change. They come back in a year, they've changed another quarter of a doctor. It's not much of change, it's not much of change. They come back, another quarter of a doctor. Maybe you need to look at getting new glasses. They put those glasses on, they're like, oh my God, and they even wear them for a while, and it's too strong. Hyperopes, you can't immediately change them that much. You've got to go with those small increments. Sometimes myopes are that way too. Too much minus is gonna throw them off. So you need to change those small increments. So even if their refraction hasn't changed that much, we still need to treat that. We still need to move that prescription up. And of course, again, your refraction didn't change that much, you don't need new glasses. Just because the refraction didn't change or didn't change that much doesn't mean that their frames aren't 100 years old and falling apart. It doesn't mean that it's not broken and needs to be replaced. So bring them over to optical. It doesn't hurt anything. We'll do the hard part. Just make sure you bring them over. Even if it's not changed that much, just bring them over. And that's pretty much all I had.
Yay!